Michael and Willow in the gatehouse and the chemistry nobody can ignore. Let us start with the gatehouse situation, because the social media conversation around Michael and Willow has been telling the show something the show clearly already knew. These two people in the same space produce an energy that neither hostile custody battles nor carefully managed distance can fully suppress. Here is the thing about genuine romantic chemistry. It is not contingent on the people involved liking each other at any given moment. It does not switch off because there is a legal arrangement or a blackmail situation or a history of profound betrayal between the two people generating it. It simply exists, operating independently of the intellectual and emotional decisions the people involved are making about each other. And the chemistry between Michael and Willow, built across years of genuine friendship, real love, shared children, and the specific intimacy that comes from people who have truly known each other, is exactly that kind of chemistry. The arguments carry it. Even when they are genuinely hostile, even when the specific cruelty that the custody battle has produced between them is present in what they say to each other, the viewer can see something underneath the hostility that the hostility does not fully conceal. The show knows this. The casting choice that was made for Michael, the specific actor whose scene work with Willow's actress produces exactly this quality, was made with this story in mind. And now they are living 40 yards apart. Michael's arrangement makes logical sense from the protective parenting perspective he articulated to Tracy. He wants to monitor Willow. He wants to ensure she is not making decisions about the children's environment that he cannot oversee. He wants to maintain the leverage he has while also honoring his instinct that the children should not lose their mother. The gatehouse accomplishes all of those things simultaneously. What it also accomplishes is putting two people who have unresolved history and undeniable chemistry in daily proximity without the distancing buffer that separate households provided. They're going to run into each other by the coffee maker, by the gate, in the driveway, at the swimming pool with the kids, in all the small, ordinary moments that make up a day when you live on the same property as someone. And ordinary moments are where the extraordinary things tend to happen. Not the big, dramatic confrontations. Those produce escalation, not intimacy. The small, ordinary moments are where guards drop, where the version of someone you remember loving appears unexpectedly, where you notice the way someone laughs with a child and remember why you fell for them in the first place. The physical encounter the show seems to be building toward, whether it is a bedroom, a sofa, or some other expression of the tension that has been building, is not a betrayal of either of them. It is the inevitable consequence of putting two people who are attracted to each other in close quarters while they are both deeply emotionally activated by the situation between them. This is something soap opera has understood since the beginning. Conflict and desire do not eliminate each other. They amplify each other. The pregnancy possibility that floats in the background of this speculation is the most classically soapy of the possible consequences. A new child would restructure everything. It would make the question of whether Michael and Willow are co-parents or something else urgently unanswerable. It would be the specific kind of complication that forces both of them to reckon with what they actually feel rather than operating from the strategic positions they have been holding. Whether the show goes there depends on where the story needs to go. But the proximity is now in place. The chemistry is now in daily contact. And Port Charles has very rarely managed to keep those two ingredients from producing exactly what they produce. Rick spirals and Lulu becomes a very bad idea. Now let us talk about Rick and the decision he is about to make that is going to backfire with the specific inevitability of a scheme launched from jealousy rather than from thought. Rick catches something. Again. He saw them in the park before, and that was enough to send his anxiety spiking. Now there is another moment. Closer this time, warmer, carrying a quality that Rick reads as deeply threatening to the relationship he has been fighting so hard to build with Elizabeth. Maybe it is a hug that holds slightly longer than casual friendships usually hold. Maybe it is a moment where they are leaning close enough to each other that from a distance, from where Rick is standing without being able to hear the words, it could look like the beginning of a kiss. Whatever the specific image is, it lands in Rick's chest with the force of something he absolutely cannot ignore. The rational response, the healthy move that the spoilers themselves name, would be to tell Elizabeth directly what he is feeling. To say clearly and without accusation that he has noticed the closeness between her and Dante and that it is activating old anxieties he thought he had dealt with, and he could use some reassurance and maybe some conversation about how they both understand the friendship boundaries. That conversation is available to him. Elizabeth is a person who would receive that kind of honesty with care and would do exactly what Rick needs. Provide the reassurance, acknowledge his feelings, discuss the situation like adults who trust each other. Rick does not take that path. He calls Lulu. The argument he makes to Lulu is the argument of a man who has already decided he is losing something and is trying to recruit help before it gets worse. He frames it as a mutual problem. They are both at risk of losing the loves of their lives if Dante and Elizabeth's connection keeps deepening. He is trying to make Lulu feel the same urgency he feels, hoping that shared urgency will override whatever hesitation she has about doing something they clearly both know is not a good idea. Lulu's hesitation in the promo footage is real, and it is rooted in specific legitimate concerns. She has been working on the co-parenting relationship with Dante. That work has not been easy and it has not been complete, but it has produced something functional, and functional is better than what they had. Signing on to Rick's scheme means risking that functional arrangement for the sake of something that Lulu is not even sure she wants. She is over Dante in some version of herself. She may not be over him in other versions. And the specific thing about seeing someone move on is that it sometimes clarifies your feelings in directions you were not expecting. If Lulu sees Dante and Elizabeth together in the way Rick is describing, if she witnesses the chemistry firsthand rather than just hearing about it secondhand, the response she has is going to be less controlled than the skepticism she is currently showing. Jealousy of the specific kind that surfaces when you watch someone you used to love looking at someone else the way they used to look at you is not rational. It does not respond to the knowledge that you are over them. It just arrives. And if that jealousy arrives, Lulu might stop hesitating and start scheming, which is exactly what Rick is counting on. Here is the problem. Two people operating from jealousy rather than from any genuine understanding of what is actually happening between Dante and Elizabeth are not positioned to produce anything except chaos. Rick cannot accurately interpret what he is seeing because jealousy is not a reliable narrator. Lulu cannot accurately evaluate the threat because she has feelings she has not fully acknowledged. The scheme they are likely to launch is going to be based on a misreading of the situation, and misread schemes fail in ways that expose the schemers rather than achieving their goals. Rocco is the person who pays the price for this kind of adult foolishness. He has already been through more family drama than any teenager should have to absorb. Rick and Lulu actively working to damage his father's developing friendship with someone who makes Dante genuinely happy is not something that Rocco is going to be able to remain ignorant of. And when he figures out what happened, as poor Charles teenagers always do figure out what the adults around them are doing, the damage to both of those relationships with Rocco specifically is going to be real. The fallout from this scheme is going to stretch. Sonny is going to get pulled in because Dante is his son, and anything that involves Dante involves Sonny eventually. Nina may notice the tension because Nina is connected to several of these people through overlapping relationships, and she pays attention. The ripples from a bad idea between two jealous people rarely stay contained in Port Charles. And Elizabeth, who deserves to have her friendships and her romantic choices respected by the people in her life. Elizabeth is going to find out eventually. And the specific version of Elizabeth, who finds out that her boyfriend and her ex-husband's daughter recruited each other to undermine a friendship she values, is not going to be gentle about it. The full picture and what both of these stories have in common. And now let us look at what connects these two storylines, because the thematic thread running through the Michael Willow situation and the Rick Lulu Dante Elizabeth situation is the same thread, which is what happens to people when they have not fully made peace with what they feel. Michael has not made peace with what he feels about Willow. His feelings are layered with anger and betrayal and the specific complication of loving someone who did something terrible while knowing that the feeling has not gone away simply because they did something terrible. He constructed a careful framework, the gatehouse, the supervised proximity, the protective logic of keeping her close to monitor her, that allows him to be near her without having to fully name what being near her means. That framework is going to be tested by every ordinary moment they share.